Ladies and gentlemen, VMware would like to thank its global diamond sponsors and its platinum sponsors for VMworld 2019. With over 150,000 members globally, the VMware User Group connects VMware customers, partners, and employees to resources, technology, and knowledge sharing. Discover the power of community. To learn more, visit the VMUG booth in the Solutions Exchange. Become a VMUG member today. This presentation includes forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties. Actual results may differ materially as a result of various risk factors, including those described in the 10Ks, 10Qs, and 8Ks VMware files with the SEC.
You are the ghost that runs the machine, the magician in the cloud, the invisible hand configuring, modding, and tweaking things no one else can see. Until the instant something breaks, and all hell breaks loose, and they come looking for, yeah, that's right, you. Because, let's face it, no one knows this stuff like you. And no one knows the journey it took to get you here, the fires you walked through, the endless hours. It's a long and lonely path. There are no red carpets, no adoring crowds. Everybody looks to you to keep the plane flying and retool the engine while wing walking at Mach 5. But it's your life, and it's your job, and it's an awesome job. And you know how to absolutely crush it. You're Sherlock, Hermione, and Morpheus all rolled into one. You have the know-how to face up to any challenge with battle-tested grit. The caffeine level to power you through a 72-hour configure fest. And while some folks might not completely grok it, you've got what it takes to bring an entire organization, maybe even an entire industry, along for the ride. The stage is set. The moment is right. Make your mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jean-Pierre Brulard.
Good morning, and welcome to VMworld Europe 2019. How will you make your mark? How will you make things meaningful for your business and for yourself? Make your mark is our theme for VMworld Europe 2019. These are profound questions to answer as we come together to shape our destiny. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege to kick off an incredible 2 days. We have close here in the audience 14,000 attendees, 2,000 more than last year. A big thank you for coming to Barcelona. Here in Barcelona, we made our mark. And yesterday, Pat and I were delighted to officially open our digital sales center. I can see in the audience somewhere a lively group in the audience with bright t-shirts, our talent of tomorrow. For this 100 million euro investment, VMware chose Barcelona among different cities in Europe, both for innovation and for tech talent. A big thank you to the two Barcelona City Council officials in the audience, Mr. Mayo and Mr. Junio, and as well Mr. Marco for Generalitat de Catalunya for your collaboration. Talking about making your mark, our CEO, Pat Gelsinger, was recognized Glassdoor Employee Choice Award for 2019. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to welcome our CEO, Mr. Pat Gelsinger.
Thank you, and thank you, JP. Thank you to Barcelona and to our wonderful friends, customers, and partners here at VMworld Europe 2019. On behalf of everyone, as part of Team VMware, thank you for joining us this week. It's always a pleasure to be back here in Barcelona. And as JP highlighted, we are thrilled to open our new sales center here. Right now I have yet another reason to come to Barcelona to see my new center here. This is just a fabulous city and place in the world. Record attendance. This is my 8th VMworld and the 8th year for Barcelona to serve as our gracious host for VMworld 2019 Europe. And we're excited to make some cool announcements, geek out a little bit, and update on our strategy today. You know, our theme for today is tech in the age of any. You know, and we have tremendous variety and choice that defines this world of technology and innovation that we have today. And this morning, we'll explore a bit the natural tension that you have between choice, but also the complexity. You know, this innovation, right, but yet the management challenges that that creates. And how do you make it all work as you're dealing with that? And, you know, I love this quote from Stephen Covey, that strength lies in the power of differences, not in its similarities, or variety is the spice of life. And, you know, this community represents that spice of life. And as we think about everybody who's here, we have 111 countries represented here today, 3,600 different organizations, many of you speaking multiple languages. I'm still working on English. I got 10 computer languages, but still working on English, right? And, you know, as we think about all of this complexity, this wonderful, vibrant community, you know, we think about digital technology and the path that we've been on. This marks for me 4 decades, 40 years now since I began my career in technology. What do you think? Looking pretty good for 40 years in it? Yeah. But it's easy to forget that not long ago, this was a small community of us geeks that would, you know, have all sorts of debates over speeds and feeds and megahertz and memories and processor architectures. And our digital life was separate from our daily life. But what we've seen over the last decade is these have become one. And that digital innovation has permeated every aspect of our daily lives. And we're just beginning to understand the implications of that. For me personally, I'm an old farm boy and I get up at 4 a.m. every day. And in the first 10 minutes of my day, I check my email, my text messages, I upload my Oura ring to see how well I slept and my REM patterns as I slept and my heart rate. You know, I get on my high-tech bike and I turn on my Audible book and I listen at 1.75x so I plow through more books more rapidly. That's the first 10 minutes of every day. You know, and we see this permeating of technology, these thousands of apps coming into our life in deep, meaningful, and impactful ways. So who's building all of these apps? And we've seen this explosion of the developer community, 3x over the last decade to now 13.5 million. But even more impressive than that is that we've seen a 6x increase in the number of apps. And as we're seeing more languages, more programming models, we're seeing that even accelerate. And the expectation is over the next 5 years that we'll see that more and double again. But in that, we ask the question, how are we going to build and operate this incredible diversity of these applications? And maybe just putting this into perspective a little bit, how many of you go to the movies, right? You go to the cinema sometime, you grab your significant other and you go, right? We spend about 36 billion euros on going to the movies. We now spend 3x that on our app stores. Globally, 3x. Think about it. Who cares about Hollywood? Just come to VMworld. This is the place that's happening. And as we think about that, we're seeing this redefinition of what's possible. And as the saying goes, we ain't seen nothing yet, because we are redefining what's possible. As we think about cloud, this ability to assemble the largest computing resources that have ever been brought together in humanity, right? The ability to move and break through the digital to physical boundary with edge and IoT, being able to bring intelligence to everything with AI, and being able to connect every human on the planet with personalized and immersive experiences with 5G. Each of these is powerful, and as I've called it, superpowers in their own right, but together they're accelerating the pace of innovation and technology. And for you today, this is the fastest day of tech evolution of your life. It's also the slowest day of tech evolution of the rest of your life. We're just getting started. And we're going to have a greater impact than ever before. And we're seeing this in every aspect of humanity. And one example of that is, seeing it penetrate our learning institutions and, breaking into developing economies around the world. And one example of that here in Europe and the Middle East and Africa is the work that we're doing to bring inclusive growth. Because we believe deeply that technology has to be a force that brings us together. And part of the Egyptian Ministry of Communications and IT, Information Institute of Technology, they're collaborating with us to help bridge this gap, and part of Egypt's Vision 2030 to bring sustainable development strategy to Egypt. And let's watch the video now.
Egyptian youth is the most beautiful treasure that we have here in Cairo, and we should empower our youth. Nation security. Digital transformation should have started earlier. It's affecting every aspect of life.
And this is not a national story, this is an international story. Everybody worldwide, we are witnessing this war for talent phenomenon. Our mission at ITI is to prepare talents for the growing demand domestically and internationally. So under the umbrella of Virtualize Africa, IT Academies through VMware is about working in parallel to prepare the strong base of talents.
The initiative by VMware is that it is training for employability. This is what our young talents like, to train and find a decent job.
With the power of education and reaching those untapped talents, women in technology are bypassing all of these hindering factors, and they are changing their lives. So we don't need to talk anymore about gender equality, we need to talk maybe about skill equality.
Every year we have such an inspiring example. ITI has graduates now covering all the multinationals here in Egypt, so they had reached the top of the ICT pyramid.
We are believing in the importance of how to use technology for good, the good of our community, the good of our country, the good of the next generation. That's our story. It's a long-lasting mission.
Isn't that a great story? It's not about gender equality, but about skill equality. And we're also thrilled to see the progress that we're making in other areas. And this week we'll be partnering with the African Union and signing a MOU of bringing the IT Academy of VMware to the African continent with 55 nations in the African Union. We're also this week committing to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals of 2030 and joining their global impact. Because we know that we cannot do it alone. This takes a community, a village, and we're committed to continue to bring technology to more people, cross-skill equality, and truly be impacting the globe with our friends and our partners. This has been the vision that VMware has now been laying out and progressing and systematically building out. This idea of any cloud, right, that we harness the power of the cloud community. We do it for any application, the new ones, but also this long tail of existing applications and curated environments that you've built, connecting it to any device, and an increasingly broad set of devices as we reach to edge and IoT, and intrinsically securing that platform. Each year, we've been improving and refining this vision, but we stayed consistent on the journey to bring any app, any cloud, any device. And with that, I'd like to start by clicking in a little bit more into the any cloud piece of this picture. And as we think about any cloud, we realize we live in a complex world, and in fact, cloud in some ways was supposed to bring simplicity, but in many cases, it's bringing more diversity. Right, and as we think about the options that we have for on-premise, in the cloud, for colo, and at the edge, more infrastructure options, not less. As we think about applications, we have traditional applications, and maybe we should have had another bubble on here for like really arcane old ones in mainframe world, right? But we have this breadth of applications and cool new and hybrid and packaged and SaaS, more choices that we have. Cloud services that we're now being able to take advantage of these powerful new services to build our applications, and the breadth of operational requirements that we have as well. And to support all of these, we'd say, are we creating chaos, or is this opportunity? And does this complexity that today's world hold strip us of the efficiency and the security that we require and we need to deliver to the businesses that we support? Does it inspire or empower us? We would say our objective with you is that creating technologists who will master this multi-cloud world, and not just mastering it, but we see this as the essential skill set for the next decade. And we believe that we can deliver incredible value to our businesses if we accomplish exactly this. We've seen customers who've been boldly moving forward on this agenda, and I love the Sky story, where they were struggling with, how do I get my arms around the exploding costs of my cloud bill, but at the same time continue to empower my developers and enable them to run free and develop at speed. And together, we've come together with a scalable private cloud, managed cloud, which provides access to public cloud services. Maersk, right, the world's largest container shipping company, and they have operations literally globally. And their technology is a business differentiator. And working with IBM Cloud for VMware solutions, we've been able to create a consistent infrastructure and operations that allows them to scale their environment for growth. Or Porsche, right, and Infotech, right, who are driving their utilization efforts for being able to deliver connected cars and smart cities, autonomous vehicles. And we've addressed this by building a 24/7 environment that allows them across their 30 different development operating environments to have a consistent cloud environment. These are some of my heroes in this journey that we're on. And for that, we're building this multi-cloud environment where you, over the last 2 decades, have worked with us to build this foundation of VMware. We've uniquely partnered with Amazon. We've now built out relationships with Microsoft, Google, our IBM Cloud partnership of 3 years, recently partnering with Oracle. We are completing the universe of public clouds to give unprecedented opportunity, reach across geographies. Simply put, We're here to help you build, run, manage, connect, and protect any cloud environment. Let's start by clicking a bit more on the build piece of this picture. And as we think about the build, operators are looking for a consistent operations environment that is rock hard and enterprise grade. And developers want access to modern services and applications. And Kubernetes is emerging as the magic layer that's going to bring these two worlds together. Since Java, or the virtual machine, we haven't seen a technology as critical as Kubernetes. Kubernetes is achieving consensus in the industry as this magic layer to bring these two worlds together. Right? And some have said Kubernetes is container orchestration, but we believe it's much, much more than that. And maybe this quote by Joe Beda, right, says it even more succinctly. It's more like improv, where when something happens, we're able to automate and respond to those differences. And today we're going to lay out our strategy in Kubernetes, and no one is better positioned to help me do that than Joe Beda, principal engineer here at VMware. Joe was at Google and had helped invent Kubernetes. He was the first committer of Kubernetes. The first time I saw Joe, he was at an event at KubeCon, and the line snaked for blocks to sign up and get an autograph with his book. I couldn't get near the guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Beda.
Good to see you, Pat.
And Joe really is a rock star of this community, as an inventor, as one of the people that helped to make this happen in a fundamental way. So Joe, tell us a little bit about, this Kubernetes and how it bridges between these two worlds.
So when we started Kubernetes, what we really aimed to do was create this sort of Goldilocks abstraction, something that was low level enough such that application developers could do anything they needed to do to build the right applications, but then also high level enough such that it provided a consistent experience for both operators and application developers across any infrastructure, private cloud, public cloud, and the edge. But Kubernetes is sometimes a little bit too flexible. Because it can adapt to all these different environments, it can sometimes be very difficult to configure. So our goal as VMware is to provide you with all the benefits of Kubernetes without having to be a deep Kubernetes expert. And honestly, sort of that democratization of Kubernetes was our mission with Heptio and was really the reason why we joined up with VMware.
Yeah, I had to buy a whole company just to get you to give me an autograph, so, right, but, and with that, we see that this excitement, right, has really permeated our strategy over the last several years. Obviously, our investments in Kubernetes. Also, the acquisition of Bitnami for packaging and delivering open source and Kubernetes-centric packages. What we've done with the announcement of Pivotal and bringing that into the family. And of course, with Joe and Craig, two of the three founders of Kubernetes, we were just thrilled, and I'll say just impressed by this sense of how we truly could democratize Kubernetes in the industry. And we've been working on the idea of how can we bring all of these pieces together in a more powerful way. And for that, we're thrilled to announce VMware Tanzu. And with this, it's a portfolio of products and services to enable and transform the way enterprises build modern apps and operate them. Tanzu is Swahili for branch, and given some of my relationships with Africa, this idea of a branch of new innovation. But in Japanese, it's also a container, a portable container. So, we love this framing of Tanzu. And with Tanzu, we see that it's enabling these three things. We're out to help you build those next generation applications, run them, and an environment to manage Kubernetes in a multi-cloud, multi-developer, multi-cluster way. And for that, we'd love to just fill in this strategy a little bit more. You think you can help me do that this morning, Joe?
Of course. That's why I'm here. All right, so let's zoom in on build to begin with, because honestly, it's all about applications. Those are the things that deliver business value, and that's why we're doing all of this. And so with all of the benefits and all of the technologies that we're bringing together, we now have 5 million developers across.
Isn't that amazing?
It's a huge number of developers across Bitnami, Pivotal, and Spring. So Bitnami brings an open source catalog of components that you can deploy both to containers and virtual machines. Pivotal brings really a best-in-class, amazing developer experience for building cloud-native apps. And then Spring is part of the experience for being able to really accelerate developers developer productivity.
And this is an extraordinary ecosystem that we're going to bring forward. And we're quite thrilled about the intent to acquire Pivotal that we expect to close before the end of the year. This Java development framework that they've delivered, 75 million downloads a month. That's more than 2 million a day. What are you all doing with this? It's just amazing, right? The momentum that has. 750,000 application instances. And we've been collaborating with Pivotal for a couple of years now around PKS. And as we were doing that work, the customer said to us very clearly, come together. We want you to accelerate, partner more deeply in making this happen for me in my enterprise environment.
So over the last little while, ever since we announced the intent to acquire Pivotal, I've been talking with that team, and I've been impressed with how much they've been embracing Kubernetes and really bring the best of the Pivotal experience, that deep experience, and combine it with what's happening with Kubernetes around the industry. And so this includes moving Pivotal Application Service so that it runs natively on top of Kubernetes. This is in alpha right now. It's in customers' hands. Ensuring that Spring works great with Kubernetes. And then also new investments for things that were built to run on Kubernetes from the get-go. And so when you add all this together, I'm really excited about the future of Pivotal and VMware as we build stuff on top of Kubernetes. It's a key part of Tanzu.
Well, we're really excited about this. And we're also excited today to announce Project Galleon. And Project Galleon builds on the Bitnami catalog, a free, widely used packaging and delivery technology in the industry today. But today we're announcing an enterprise-grade version of that. That brings enterprise-grade catalog, curated, continuously maintained, and enabling enterprises to add to it as well. Joe, tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so this is how Galleon works. So we take the Bitnami catalog of components, and you can actually extend this with your own components, and then we combine that with a customization engine so that you can bring your enterprise OS, you can bring your customizations, your security agents, all the things that are your corporate standard, put those things together, and then provide a catalog to accelerate application teams so that they can build applications faster, more reliably. And this is a continuous thing. So you always have the most up-to-date stuff in your catalog. So it improves security, improves manageability, and really accelerates application teams.
Very exciting. And that sort of covers the build piece of this. Why don't we dig into the run piece of it a little bit further? And when we talk about running Kubernetes, our view at VMware, we're here to help you run this consistently everywhere that you believe that you want to run, Kubernetes environments. And to do that, we partnered with Pivotal to create VMware PKS Essentials and Enterprise versions of that to give you this run platform everywhere that you wanted it. But Joe, if we really wanted to crank it up on running Kubernetes, what would we do?
We'd be really serious, and we'd build it into vSphere.
We'd build it into vSphere?
Exactly.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We're excited to announce Project Pacific, and this effort is to really fuse vSphere and Kubernetes together as never before. This project is now in beta, right? And we're oversubscribed. So much enthusiasm from the effort that we're oversubscribed, but we'll be finding more ways that you can participate in this as we enable this bridge between developers and IT. And Project Pacific unquestionably establishes vSphere as the platform for modern applications and delivering Kubernetes at scale to the enterprise.
Now, we're not talking about simply running Kubernetes on top of vSphere. We can do that. We're also talking about building Kubernetes into vSphere so that we're making vSphere better. And so this not only makes vSphere the best place to run Kubernetes, it also brings vSphere into the future, providing a one platform, API-driven, where you can manage both your VM and Kubernetes assets using one tool chain. Now, this deep integration is not just at this control layer. We've actually taken this down to the virtualization layer also. So we've enhanced ESXi so that it runs Kubernetes workloads natively. And these run great.
How well do they run, Joe?
So when compared with traditional Linux VMs, these what we're calling vSphere native pods can run up to 30% faster.
But Joe, I mean, everybody knows that that KVM thing is like a toy, right? You know, I mean, that's like bringing a bicycle to the F1, right? How about like some really impressive numbers?
Well, it turns out that we actually run faster than bare metal, which this is a result that I didn't believe when I first heard it. The team now has a great blog post that goes into detail about this, but we have so much deep expertise on getting the most out of the hardware. We're bringing that to Kubernetes through these vSphere native pods.
Better than bare.
Better than bare metal, yeah.
That's exciting to see. And you know, we're bringing the entirety of the vSphere community forward with Project Pacific. The massive installed base, the millions of admins, the hundreds of thousands of customers, and the extraordinary partner ecosystem. What do you think, Joe? Have we turned up the volume yet?
Oh yeah, we're getting there.
And you know, now that we're helping run them, right, we're helping build the environments, but what are we going to do to help them manage it all for developers and IT?
Well, enterprises are complex. There's a lot to deal with. That's what you're talking about at the beginning of the show here. And when we apply that to Kubernetes, we're not talking about multiple clusters, multiple teams, multiple clouds. There's a lot to manage here.
You know, and we're thrilled to introduce VMware Tanzu Mission Control, a cloud-neutral control plane that allows you to manage all of your Kubernetes clusters. That's enterprise-grade and gives you the visibility for production deployments.
Now, I should note that this is in closed beta now. We've been signing up customers, getting them on the platform. The feedback we've been getting is excellent, so we're working super hard to get this out there as soon as possible to everybody.
So, Joe, can I really manage all of my Kubernetes clusters through one set of services?
That's exactly right.
And PKS, VMware on-premise?
Of course.
And all of my public cloud environments?
Why not?
And you mean all of the native environments like EKS, AKS, GKE?
If you have Kubernetes, we can manage it for you.
That's impressive, Joe. This is exciting.
Now, Tanzu Mission Control really brings us full circle. It really is about providing the best experience for both IT operators and platform teams and developers and application teams. Those IT operators have the control that they need to be able to run things in enterprise grade, policy, backups, security, while enabling developers to really unlock the potential and the energy and the innovation via APIs, self-service, and a really simple collaboration model.
This is exciting. And we've been working with customers today around PKS. And PKS is the on-ramp, the pathway to a complete Tanzu environment. Not only is it the most enterprise-grade Kubernetes environment that's available today, but it's also the pathway to a Tanzu future.
So that's right. So VMware PKS and Tanzu really share underlying principles. They're both based at their core on open source Kubernetes. And so getting started with PKS, we're going to make sure that everybody has a super smooth transition to Tanzu.
So I think we've sort of covered it, Joe. We've done build, we've done run, we've done management. Tanzu is a huge investment for our company, right? It brings extraordinary value to our ecosystems, and we've filled out, how we're going to build and pivotal the critical role that they're going to play as part of this platform.
And we also provide a way to run Kubernetes in a consistent way across all your infrastructure, starting with PKS, but also with the exciting stuff coming with Project Pacific, really establishes VMware and Tanzu as the platform for modern applications.
And this is very real because we're in beta today with Galleon, with Pacific, and with Mission Control. And we're just getting started. There's so much innovation that's in front of us in this area. We're thrilled for Kubernetes. And Joe, you got some serious coding to get done, so you better get back to work.
I'm excited.
Thank you
so
Joe.
much, Pat.
So we've covered build. Let's dig into a little bit more some of the challenges of what we'll say run and manage. One of the greatest challenges of this multi-cloud world is how we manage across these diverse environments. And today, enterprises are using on the average of 5 clouds, and that's expected to increase as we look to the future. And with this decentralized nature of the cloud, spend is growing, and what are the control systems around it? How do you operationalize it? This is why we acquired Cloud Health a year and a half ago, the clear leader in multi-cloud management. Cloud Health brings incredible value to the market, delivering unified visibility to resources across any cloud environment, helping customers contain the runaway cost. It's over 10 billion euros are being managed through the Cloud Health platform today by over 7,000 customers. I was having a dinner recently with a CIO and his CEO, and he wasn't yet using Cloud Health. So I was telling him, why not? I can save you 25% on average, right? And so I was challenging him a little bit, and the CEO was watching this to and fro with the CIO and I, right? And he's saying, I bet you a case of wine that we're going to give you a major savings of at least 15% if you use Cloud Health. His CEO said, hey, I'll underwrite this bet, because I'm going to take the savings and invest it. So he was pretty excited to put the case of wine, in my case, a case of sparkling cider on the table. But we are seeing extraordinary interest in bringing this capability to the marketplace. And we are continuing to innovate. We integrated with VMware Cloud on Amazon. We announced Cloud Health Hybrid, the ability to do cost management on-premise through VMC and through the native cloud environments. We've introduced Secure State, the ability to manage across diverse clouds and microserviced environments and poorly configured cloud instances like the recently witnessed financial services breach. Secure State addresses that problem. And we're extending it with automation as we leverage the vRealize cloud as a service offerings. Now, this idea of multi-cloud, and we also often use the word hybrid cloud, in some ways I think VMware has helped to create confusion here on what we're really talking about. So let's click into this a little bit more. And multi-cloud, we'll say, is this diverse infrastructure choices that you can have. But then our objective is to give you a consistent management plane or a consistent operational environment like Cloud Health to address it. But then there's a subset of that is more powerful, a hybrid cloud that gives consistent infrastructure and consistent operations. And at the heart of our hybrid cloud strategy is VMware Cloud Foundation. And this is how we deliver that consistency across these two worlds. And VMware Cloud Foundation is the cornerstone technology for data center, cloud, and the edge. And if you and I were going to go to a cooking class and we wanted to to cook a great meal, we'd start with great ingredients. And that's exactly what we've done with Cloud Foundation. Number one in compute, in storage, in networking, in management, right? Number one in compute with vSphere. The reason so many of you are here with hybrid cloud or hyper-converged infrastructure and vSAN, and simply we're crushing we're just winning in the marketplace with this platform at scale. With SDN and networking and our cloud management. And we've also integrated lifecycle and automation into the solution. Simply put, the fastest path to the hybrid cloud. We see that we can enable the hybrid cloud in 3 different manners. One is you take Cloud Foundation or hyper-converged infrastructure and you manage them. We run it for you in the VMware Cloud. Or you work with a partner managed environment. Across the world, we're delivering hybrid cloud at scale across a broader community than ever before. But many of our cloud provider partners, our VCPP partners, have been struggling with how do I compete with the hyperscalers. You as customers in many cases say, boy, I love my local cloud provider, right? They're unique, I know them, I have the relationships, but I really want to take advantage of these hyperscale resources. Today, that dilemma ends. And we're bringing these two worlds together by VMware Cloud Director Service that enables our VCPP community to now deliver the hyperscale capabilities. So you're able to get geographic reach, to be able to extend the service reach, to bring new economic alternatives, and deliver a broader portfolio of services. And you continue to have that unique relationship with your local cloud provider as well. Today, this is available for VMware on cloud on AWS, as well as for IBM Cloud. By the end of the year, we'll have Azure, and over time, we expect to fill in the full portfolio of our hyperscale partners as well. Bringing these two worlds together as never before. Over 4,000 VCPP partners being able to leverage and deliver the breadth and power of the hyperscale partners as well through VMware Cloud Director Service. A big day. So what I'd like to do now is introduce our customer operations, owning all things customer-facing, and asking Sanjay to give you a customer-in view of the things that we are doing in the cloud space. Please join me in welcoming Sanjay Poonen to the stage.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Great job so far. How's everybody doing? Hey, nothing better. Hopefully you have got the message so far. It's all about Tanzu, Kubernetes, and about Cloud Foundation. I thought, what better way than to dive a little deeper into Cloud Foundation. I think it's one of the most fundamental innovations VMware has done. And to do this, I'm honored to have on stage one of our top customers and one of the biggest applications companies in the world, the biggest applications company in the world at SAP, Thomas Sorcerig. He is the executive board member and president at SAP. Thomas, welcome. Thank you, Thomas.
Hey,
great to see you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, we planned this show just in anticipation of your promotion, which I understand happened last week.
Officially since Friday,
you
absolutely.
You are now one of the youngest board members of SAP in history.
That's correct.
Congratulations, first off.
Thank you very much.
I spent a little part of my life at SAP. Can we give him a hand on his promotion? That just happened last week.
Thank you very much.
Thomas was named, I think, last year to the top 40 under 40 executives, and maybe that influenced you getting a promotion. Who knows?
Perhaps, who knows?
Tell us about your new responsibilities.
Yeah, so fundamentally, as a member of the executive board responsible for SAP product engineering, I'm fundamentally the head of business applications of SAP. In this responsibility, for sure, we want to define the business processes our customers need. We call that intelligent enterprise. But also, as part of the responsibility is the global cloud infrastructure of SAP and our multi-cloud strategy. And here, for sure, we rely on strong partners like VMware, actually, to make that successful.
Well, good. I spent a good part of my life there. I still have a little bit of blue in my blood, Thomas, and I'm excited about this. So he runs all of applications at SAP, and I thought, what better way to think about the way in which applications run is on infrastructure. Infrastructure serves applications. You folks were in the middle of using a variety of other open source technologies like OpenStack, and then came to the realization that it would be better to standardize on VMware.
Yeah.
How and why did you come to that conclusion?
I think what we realized actually in the last couple of years is, with all the acquisition SAP did to really complement our product portfolio, our cloud application suite, what we have today, with S/4HANA as the center of the intelligent enterprise, with Ariba for procurement, SuccessFactors for HR, and all these kind of aspects, our infrastructure was becoming more diverse. And we had multiple stacks. As you mentioned, we used open source, we had multiple areas. And fundamentally, as a company, we want to grow in a sustainable and scalable manner. And that was the reason why we teamed up here with VMware to strategically bring us together on VMware, standardizing, and with that, for sure, also increasing the level of automation, increasing the level of resiliency, fundamentally going down to the ambition to have zero outage, what we want to have. And also what is super important, and we all know that, and I by myself was a global CEO of SAP actually before that role, and that when something happens, and always something happens in infrastructure, the most important piece is that you get quickly up to speed again. So MTTR is a key KPI which we have, and here again, it's very important to really invest into automation, into the right tooling, and that's what we actually do across our 45 data centers, which we have around the world, having more than 200,000 VMs running in more than tens of thousands of physical machines. So this is really a massive operations what we have, complemented by a multi-cloud strategy.
So if you took that sort of takeaways were reduce the risk improve resilience, lower cost, all of that because of standardizing on VMware.
Absolutely.
And I know you've also been one of the early pioneers with us on software-defined networking.
Yes.
Driving all of that infrastructure, both cloud foundation and networking on a software-defined stack.
Absolutely. In the end of the day, it's software-defined everything in a data center. That's space.
You can be software-defined applications, and we'll be software-defined infrastructure.
We take that one, absolutely.
That's a good deal. Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about your your cloud strategy. I mean, SAP is a $30 billion apps company, the biggest apps company in the world, and everything now is cloud. How does SAP view the cloud?
I mean, cloud is for sure super strategic for us. And if you look at our numbers, last year we did more cloud revenue than on-premise revenue. So we are a cloud company, super strategic. We see strong growth in the area. And this is something where we basically started with the multi-cloud strategy of SAP. So teaming up with strategic partners, what we saw here earlier with AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and Ali Cloud in China, but for sure having also our own cloud infrastructure for our customers, especially for various reasons. And that's where basically we brought the things together. Cloud is something, and I think Pat just explained it perfectly. We live in a world of multi-cloud, we live in a world of hybrid cloud, and actually SAP is offering choice. So customers also can pick and choose, for instance, where they want to run S/4HANA. And this is an advantage which we want to deliver, but it's clear, cloud is the future.
And so your cloud infrastructure that you run on SAP, yourselves will run on VMware, but then you have your other cloud places where you want to run certain apps. You'll have one of the multi-cloud hyperscalers. You'll have a best of both worlds of VMware for what you run internally.
Correct.
And then you'll have certain apps that run on the hyperscalers.
Yeah, and also here for sure, and we talked about earlier about Kubernetes, this is one of the topics where we now also get together with Gartner to bring our applications in such a cloud-native fashion and then be able to homogeneously run it on all the multi-cloud providers fundamentally. And this is also something, Sanjay, where I'm totally excited actually that we really team up and bring Gartner from SAP and the open source project we have together on VMware to be able to run it on all the workloads.
Good,
everywhere.
you're stealing my thunder. I was going to go right from one C cloud to the next C containers. So let's talk about that, because once you have containerized many of these applications, it becomes much easier to facilitate not just the migration of apps, but the modernization of apps. And we decided, what better way to validate this Tanzu and Kubernetes portfolio than to go to the largest apps company and get them to embrace our vision of Kubernetes and Tanzu. So tell us a little bit about Gartner and Kubernetes. What's Gartner and what are we going to try and do together?
I think Gartner is fundamentally an open source project which really is leveraging Kubernetes as a cluster, and we want to really standardize with containerization on our applications on top of that. And we have a very prominent example like SAP HANA Cloud Services built on Gartner, and with that we really can do that everywhere. And now, taking that together with VMware for sure is a huge, with the deep integration which was mentioned earlier, is a huge opportunity we see, a differentiator. And I think it was very well explained earlier about we need to bridge the various parties from developers, the IT operations, and all of that aspects together. And I think if we truly believe in DevOps, continuous integration delivery, and all these aspects what we require in today's world to be quickly enough in the market, this is super essential for us.
We just signed that agreement, I think, 2 nights ago. He sent me an email last night saying the contract is signed. We unleashed 2 of our Kubernetes founders, Craig and Joel, on SAP the last few months, and they were working furiously with your team to cement our Kubernetes and Tanzu strategy with Gartner, and we're delighted to have the largest apps company now validate what we're doing with Tanzu and Kubernetes. Listen, as you think about where this world is headed in terms of a multi-cloud future, what advice do you have to the IT professionals? Probably, I'd say the vast bulk of the 14,000, 15,000 customers here are your customers.
Yeah.
How would you advise them as they think about applications and infrastructure?
I think it's the most exciting time to be in IT actually, because so much things are changing. On the one hand side, from a technology perspective, we just talked about Kubernetes and the likes. And new technologies like artificial intelligence really makes it very exciting for us to be in IT. But also we should not forget the business side of the house. And if you see the business model changes in all industries, quite frankly, this is where really business applications need to be able to help that. And every industry is transforming. Even SAP itself, when I was the CIO, we transformed from an on-premise license company into a cloud subscription and consumption-based billing company. And this is something where, again, modern business applications can help to make that run. And if you think about Industry 4.0, if you think about all the notions around hyper-personalization. If you buy a shoe, it should be your personalized shoe. If you buy a robot, whatever you think about, it should be personalized. And this is exciting because from a company perspective, you still want to produce it at mass scale. So how do you create mass scale for hyper-individualization? And that's what we can offer. That's our product portfolio. Bring it to life with the intelligent enterprise, powered by the experience management we have with Qualtrics together to delight our customers. And that's where we're up to.
Well, I should also mention two other things we're working with you. You have a product which was a very favorite for many of the customers here, Solution Manager. We have our equivalent Skyline. You are adopting that for your 100,000, 200,000 VMs. We're very excited about that. You're also down the journey with Workspace ONE. So we had another hour we could go on and on about Skyline and Workspace ONE. Appreciate that in terms of your stuff. Thomas, I couldn't be more excited for you, both first off for our partnership, but as a former colleague and friend of yours at SAP, to see your career flourish. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome and congratulations once again, Thomas. Thank you for being with us. Pat, back to you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Sanjay. You know, when you look at our cloud business, one of the cornerstones is that we have so many great partners. And you know, as we think of the sheer number of these partnerships, it's phenomenal, right? And we've been building this multi-cloud, right, universe, and more every day we're building this community of cloud partners, our hyperscale partners, our VMware Cloud Verified partners, and thousands of cloud providers around the world. And there's so many more. It's simply become a galactic community in the world. You know, it's clear that we've brought together the data center, the hyperscalers, Cloud Verified, the VCPP community. Literally every cloud in the universe is coming together to deliver this multi-cloud, hybrid cloud future. And doesn't that remind you of something? May the force be with you as we go build the galactic cloud of the future. You know, and we today have over 10,000 cloud data centers are running on VMware technology around the globe. You know, in over 128 different countries. Today we have 70 million virtual machines running on the VMware platform, and 10 million of those are running in the cloud. It truly has become a global capability that you can build your future on. And maybe no single aspect of our cloud strategy has been more central to this than the partnership with Amazon that we announced 2 years ago, bringing together the leading data center company with the leading global cloud provider to deliver a jointly engineered hybrid cloud solution built on VMware Cloud Foundation. And if you look at the journey we've been on, you know, it isn't just that we announced a product, we've been rapidly innovating with each other, driving an aggressive expansion of services, greater flexibility on how VMware Cloud and AWS can be used, stronger support in key industries. We just announced RDSs and GA now running on VMware on-premise. So it wasn't just about taking workloads to the cloud, but it was also being able to bring services from the cloud on-premise as well. And we're working on AWS Outpost that's in preview now, and we're on track to deliver in the near future. An aggressive pace of innovation. And also expanding our global footprint. And today we're announcing our offering in Sweden. AWS is now live. A year ago, this is 4x the number of locations and availability zones. We're rapidly expanding this to enable a footprint wherever in the world you would want to take advantage of VMware and Amazon together. And these are some of the customer logos that have agreed that we can start to use them as reference designs. This community is building rapidly as they're taking advantage of this powerful capability of VMware Cloud on the massive Amazon footprint. But one of the things that we've been engaging with customers, and many customers are saying, wow, I want to migrate to the cloud more rapidly, and how do I get there more rapidly? And they're quickly saying, boy, but I got to modernize my application, and I got to microservice it and reconfigure it, and they hit a brick wall. And what we're finding is that we, with our hybrid cloud approach, have the opportunity to allow customers to migrate and to modernize in and when their business justifies it. And this ability is a huge accelerant for customers' cloud journey. It's one of the top initiatives for our customers, and customers are dedicating significant resources to refactor their apps for the clouds when we give them the big easy button to simply migrate them. We enable them to solve many of these complexities without refactoring their applications. No downtime, right? We simply motion them to the cloud. We're able to operate them without retraining. Same tools, same policies, same skill sets. We leverage new capabilities like HCX, this magic of a hybrid environment. Massively, we're enabling migrate and modernize. And we're also building the hybrid cloud world for the future that is developer and Tanzu capable. And as soon as VMware Cloud, as soon as Tanzu is shipping next year, we'll be running Tanzu on top of it. So further extending the capabilities of this platform with the Tanzu portfolio of services. Also, the VMware Cloud gives you access to this rich portfolio of cloud services. Because in many cases, that's what your developer wants. It doesn't want to just run a VM. It wants access to machine learning and AI services and new data models, right? And being able to take advantage of those platform of capabilities, this is why they're going to the cloud. And the combination of VMware multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, an as abstraction and a PaaS abstraction, a powerful platform to enable them to the future. And let's again get a customer perspective on this and bring back on stage Sanjay Poonen. Sanjay?
That's great. Well, it's a pleasure for me to now talk with our next customer about what she is doing at IHS Markit. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Sari Granite. Sari, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Sari, you are EVP and Chief Administrative Officer running digital technology, IT, and legal counsel, which I think to me is either every vendor's blessing or nightmare because you've got IT and legal all in one, okay? That's a big job. How did you end up with that responsibility?
It is a big job. I think it's a blessing for vendors, by the way. But I've been IHS Markit's general counsel in charge of legal risk and compliance for years, and my responsibilities expanded last year to include IT and information security. And the common thread for me really is governance, risk management, and supporting commercial operations and strategy, which you really do in all of those functions.
Great. I won't make any lawyer jokes.
Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Hey, listen, IHS Markit, some folks here would know them, is a combination of Markit that was based in Europe and IHS in the US. Tell us about what IHS Markit's vision is and what are you trying to get done as the two of IHS Markit came together?
Sure. So we are, at our heart, an information company, and we serve three main industries, so energy, financial services, and transportation. And we use technology and data science and a tremendous subject matter expertise to deliver insights so that our customers can make better decisions. So think about your oil field engineer who is making decisions on where to drill, what technology to use. It's our data sets that he or she is looking at to make those decisions.
So data, content, information, that's your lifeblood.
That's it.
And all of these application and content and data services run an infrastructure. You've been one of our loyal customers for well over a decade in the on-premise world, but in comes the cloud, and how do you think about the cloud strategy? Because you were one of the first early adopters, a leading thinker in driving cloud on AWS.
That's true. So we, like you, so many of our customers, all of our customers are really going through their digital transformation, and which means that we need to be able to provide our services and our data sets on demand, in multiple delivery channels, in often a customized format, and reliably and securely. And so the cloud offers us that agility, elasticity. I always call it the IDIs. It's elasticity, agility, security, resiliency, which I guess is not an IDI. But
that's good. That's all good. And you have, I think you said 100 plus products. Some of them were built sort of cloud native in AWS, but now you have some of your products that are built in the on-premise world in VMware, and now comes the opportunity to bridge those two, right? So we began to talk to you about VMware Cloud and AWS. You were already one of the early adopters of NSX, NSXT, and software-defined networking, so it was a natural bridge. But how did you think about this continuum where you were going to have some products on-premise and you were going to migrate, lift and shift them into the cloud?
So we have an incredibly complex environment. The company, despite, we talked a little bit about the IHS and the Markit merger, the company has largely been built through acquisition. And we have a very diverse set of products, some that are cloud ready, many of them are not, and may actually never be. And so we needed a solution that would help us actually move into the cloud to get some of the attributes that we discussed in a way where we could do so without interrupting our business, without having really to change our technology and without having to revamp our operations. And so we needed something that would help us bridge into the cloud without having to refactor everything, without having to re-architect. And the idea with VMware Cloud and that partnership is that we can do so, and then as our businesses and as our products want to modernize, want to refactor, to take advantage of services that are available on AWS or other clouds, we can do so from the VMware.
And in doing so, Sari, your goal would be to reduce your number of data centers, move some of those thousands and tens of thousands of VMs into VMware Cloud and AWS, migrate, and then modernize. Is that the goal?
That's right. We are looking over the course of the next few years, and it's a journey to move about 90% of our estate into the cloud.
So some 30% already is in the cloud,
right.
70% on-prem. You think you can flip that, or even more than that, in terms of migrating massively, and your data centers just shrink to some smaller number than it is today, hopefully. That's the goal, right? So when we began our partnership with AWS, why was that important to us? Because you had an existing relationship with AWS before us. We were into this, we came and talked to you about this. There's a three-way relationship here. Why is that important to IHS?
I think largely because our initial implementations were in AWS, and we have found that we, sort of like Thomas was describing, we have software, and our software customers were happy to take our solutions in a hosted format in AWS. That's really how we started 5 years ago, and then we started to build net new products natively in AWS. We've done some lifting and shifting to take advantage of being able to move out of data centers, take advantage of cleaning up some tech debt. And so we really, today, are an AWS shop. And so having the advantage of being able to move our infrastructure on a more massive basis into the cloud with VMware Cloud on AWS will allow our products that will want to flip up and use some of the services provided by AWS more ease to do so. And so it's that tight integration that's really appealing to us.
And we've sought to make that very transparent, to have many of our discussions jointly with us, you and AWS. Listen, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, we've been very fortunate to have you as a partner. What things can VMware continue to do better in serving you as a customer?
So I will say that the teams that we've worked with have been incredible. The technology works, which is also really great. One thing that I think from the business and commercial side that we'd like to see is really a tighter integration with AWS. It would be great for us to be able to contract once, to
with that legal hat of yours.
Well,
It's good. I like it. And one of those things we have sought to do, it's very good feedback. Many of you customers have said, listen, we'd like to have similar terms of service, similar contract paperwork. We've now enabled AWS to resell that service, VMware Cloud and AWS, so you could do the contract on their side if you want to. We're building the product, they sell it. And we will continue to do that, but thank you for pushing us in that direction. Sarah Granite, everybody, give her a warm congratulations, and thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Back to you, Pat.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Sari. Earlier this year, we announced a new relationship with Microsoft, and it was one of those amazing moments when on stage and announcing a partnership. And what we've laid out is a partnership that really covers 4 dimensions. And what we've said is that we're going to work together to create VMware or Azure VMware solutions. Strong momentum across this core offering of building VMware on the Azure cloud. And for this, we're seeing the global expansion, customers coming onto the platform. And today, we're announcing the integration of HCX, this powerful ability to operationalize migration as well as true hybrid cloud operations. Today, we're also announcing Azure SQL 2019 on VMware vSphere. This idea that we take workloads to the cloud, but we bring services from the cloud and run them on-premise on VMware. Today, we're also announcing Azure and SD-WAN VeloCloud, and a deep integration with Azure and VeloCloud gateways that are deployed inside of Azure environments. End-to-end high performance and optimized access across enterprise branches. And maybe most importantly, the complete integration of Workspace ONE with Microsoft Endpoint Management, bringing together Intune and Azure AD and SCCM into a single offering that leverages the best of Workspace ONE across a range of devices, but also not giving up any of the capabilities of an integrated Microsoft stack as well. So 4 exciting capabilities that are progressing from the VMware Microsoft partnership. Microsoft is proceeding rapidly to deliver AVS, the Azure VMware solutions, globally. And today we have it available in Europe and North America. Through the first half of next year, it'll be available on 10 different availability zones throughout Japan, Southeast Asia, and Australia. And we're seeing customer response to this. And while we just launched the service in June, we already have over 20 customers are running on the platform today. Great momentum for the Microsoft VMware partnership. But the other thing that we announced earlier this year was bringing together a VMware cloud on-premise on Dell EMC VxRail. This is a co-engineered solution by VMware and Dell that is bringing together this cloud management experience exactly the same way that you would see VMware Cloud on AWS, but you're seeing it on-premise on Dell EMC on VxRail. And this delivers data center as a service capabilities on-premise. And it's delivered as a complete integrated hardware, software solution, fully subscriptionized as a solution, delivered as a service, so simple, scalable, you get capacity on demand as you ask for it, secure. How many of your environments are updated and patched every week, right? Always up to date. Like none of them are. And that's what the value proposition of this is. And we're excited about this. We announced the partnership with Equinix to build this and deliver it inside of their data center environments. And we fully expect that we'll have a broad range of VCPP partners delivering VMware Cloud on Dell EMC as well. Now, when you think about this, we've sort of laid out a fairly compelling picture of a hybrid cloud world. But now, all of a sudden, when you think about hybrid cloud, you then say, how do I do all the normal stuff that you do as infrastructure operators? How do I back up? How do I do capacity management? How do I automate deployments? And against that, we're delivering hybrid cloud services that enable hybrid cloud operations. One example of that is extending the vRealize suite as a cloud-delivered service for automation, operations, networking. We're also delivering workload services like HCX, a marketplace built on Bitnami for third-party hybrid services to emerge. We're partnering with Dell EMC to deliver DR as a service, data protection, integration of Dell EMC Power Protect deeply into the VMware management offerings. And this is just the beginning. We expect a full set of hybrid optimized cloud-delivered services to enable hybrid operations. Now, as we look at this picture, we see these little bubbles here of edge and telco. Let's click into that a little bit more because we have some exciting things to announce in this area as well. First, what on earth is the edge? Right? It's one of these nice fuzzy terms, and we try to define it. One is where the physical and digital worlds interact, or maybe in computer science terms, this point of low latency, distributed infrastructure, where you need to be able to process and protect and consume capabilities at the edge. And against that definition, we're excited to see a bubbling cauldron of innovation, right, across different edge. And we'll sort of break it into these three buckets: a thin edge, right, with a medium edge, and then a beefy, full edge. And this might be a wind turbine all the way up to a manufacturing floor, or it might be an individual 5G experience, an AR, VR, right, up to a full smart city, right. And then we see these range of edge use cases. And against that, VMware is bringing a set of technologies that enable you to build a range of edge solutions. For the thin edge, maybe you're just connecting and managing devices, and you need connectivity. So that's Pulse and SD-WAN VeloCloud. Maybe you get to the medium edge. I need some amount of compute. I'm putting some containers there, but it's still pretty lightweight and vaults and hanging on poles. And then you get to the beefy edge. It's just like a remote data center, just smaller and maybe industrialized a bit. And for that, we have the full VMware Cloud on Dell EMC, Cloud Foundation, our VNF, our NFV platform. And we're building our offerings for thin, medium, and thick edge to enable these broad set of use cases. But one of the powerful technologies that's going to, in our view, usher in an enormous set of new use cases will be 5G. This is maybe the largest capital build out of the rest of our careers, right? Telcos will play a huge role, but it's also a massive architectural shift from vertical hardware-centric infrastructure to horizontal software deployment. And it will usher in a revolutionary set of new services that will enable industries, given 5G's characteristics of reliability, much reduction in latency, high bandwidth and connectivity. We expect new retail experiences, changing how cities look and operate, how we interact every day with healthcare and financial services, and restructuring of the energy grid as well. And against that, we see a critical new platform being built out. And we think about this as the telco cloud. Very similar to what we did in the data center over the last 2 decades, what we're going to do in the network centers of the future and build out this telco network in a software-defined, cloud-like way. When VMware is driving the creation and deployment of some of the largest telco clouds in the world today. And with that, we bring similar principles to this. We'll say consistent infrastructure and operations. How do we make these edge environments to these core environments look and operate like clouds? And today, we're also thrilled to make another announcement, Project Maestro. And this brings consistent orchestration to a telco cloud world. And you can think about this the following way, where a telco wants to build and deliver a new service that requires a set of capabilities at the edge, maybe in industrial or enterprise edges, as well as services in the telco core environment. And how do you orchestrate across those multi-components of it? That's exactly what Maestro is accomplishing. Operational efficiency at scale to be able to deliver and operationalize a new set of services for the 5G world. VMware has seen extraordinary momentum from the telco community. They are excited about this new software-driven approach to delivering the next generation of the platform. We have over 100 service providers today, over 100 of them working with SD-WAN VeloCloud. Over 800 million subscribers are running on the VMware platform today. And I'm thrilled to make our next telco cloud partner announcement today of Tigo Millicom, serving more than 50 million customers across many countries of Latin America and Africa. Our newest member of the VMware family following this model of telco cloud. But when you look at this picture, and when you think about networks, there's sort of like two big hunks that the telco needs to manage. One is the core, but their bigger spend and bigger challenge is the radio access network. And this is where a lot of the action happens in 5G. And it's sort of the critical link between your mobile phone and the core telco networks. And we believe, similarly, now is the time to cloudify the radio access network. And we're bringing that same model of how can we bring software and cloud innovation into the radio access network. And this is exactly why we acquired Uhana. And Uhana is bringing software, AI, machine learning into the radio access network. There's also emerging standards in this area, in particular O-RAN, right, that is developing and architecting an open radio access architecture at the edge. And we're thrilled today to announce Telstra as a partner in this area, leveraging Uhana and following this model that we're pursuing of how do we bring software into the radio access network. So we've taken a look at apps, cloud and telco, and how we connect them all together. Now, let's click into the network itself a little bit more. And this to us is sort of like the nervous system, right, of the data center. And we began the cloud networking journey simply saying, let's bring software into the data center, and our Nicira acquisition. Now we've built out this full portfolio of services, the way to connect all of your clouds together. And it's no longer just for vSphere, it's now for all types of workloads, non-vSphere, bare metal environments as well. And we're building out a full stack of services here that we've been ching and routing, right, and micro-segmentation, right, service mesh. And we've added SD-WAN to that portfolio. And today, a stunning 150,000 customer sites, 100+ service provider partners. And this is enabling an extraordinary footprint. We now have over 2,000 gateways, the largest footprint that enables the connection, right, applications, services, security, low latency access, a capability that's unique to VeloCloud, that's connecting these services and clouds together to have a seamless application experience. We're also thrilled to add Avi Networks to the family of VMware. And while Avi as a software load balancer, it's sort of like, just fits right in. It's sort of like peanut butter and jelly. Of course we should add that to the SD-WAN and the VeloCloud and the NSX platform. All these pieces coming together. And you're probably already a user of Avi Networks. If you've ever done an online payment, bought a movie ticket or used a concert or movie streaming online, you're probably already a user of it. So we're seeing incredible interest and momentum of software-driven firewall. But we're also expanding today the service-defined firewall capabilities. And today we're announcing software-defined intrusion protection and detection capabilities. Detection and intrusion prevention done in a distributed, application-specific, fully software-driven way, operationally integrated into the NSX platform that allows, application signatures only relevant to that workload, higher throughput and performance, operational simplicity, part of how you run the network already. And when we think about this, we're just filling in every aspect of the NSX platform. And as a result of that, we're seeing extraordinary momentum in the industry. 10 telcos, 89% to the Fortune 100, #1 in SD-WAN. Each one of these building momentum for a software-driven networking. We're seeing strong customer interest from like the International Red Cross and using NSX for microsegmentation. William Hill, a leading gaming company, and taking advantage of cloud-native workloads as well as existing workloads. And as they said, for the first time in 3 years, I don't have any requests on IT. It's all automated and available to the developers. And Rent to Kill with full SD-WAN and leveraging every aspect of the NSX platform. And when you think about these capabilities, to me this is almost like mind-bogglingly bad. When you look in your data center, look at all the resources you have consumed that are all these special purpose, bump in the wire, sucking up power, space, management requirements, and they all need to go away. They need to go into software, right? They need to become software defined, eliminate all of these appliances. The metrics are compelling, as we're seeing. We have over 2,000 detailed customer experiences, 59% reduction in CapEx, 55% in OpEx. Simply put, savings you cannot ignore. It is time to throw out the special purpose hardware, move it all to software. This is the only way to build a multi-cloud, hybrid cloud infrastructure for the future. And I'd like to have one more customer example this morning, and Sanjay Poonen's going to come up and do that. Then he's going to give an update on our security and our client activities, and I'll be back on stage to wrap up our morning. So one more time, Sanjay, let's get a customer perspective.
All right, I hope everyone's doing well. Listen, it's my honor to have our third customer on stage with me. Please join me in welcoming Pauline Flamant from Michelin. Pauline, thank you for being here. Pauline's the Executive Director in charge of all of global networking. Pauline, I thought I'd start. Michelin is such an incredible brand. It's a 100-year-plus company, one of the most celebrated brands of tires. And I thought maybe I'd come on stage as the Michelin man, but you talked me out of that.
No, you're too tall. You have to know that Michelin man is very short because the costume is heavy, so you cannot wear it.
All right. That idea for next time. Well, how did the legend of this Michelin man all start?
Oh, the legend is that the founder saw a pile of tires in 1899, and then as he was looking at that pile, he just said, "It looks like a man." And that's how the story started 120 years ago.
They thought they saw a man inside the tires,
Yes.
and it's lasted for 100 years.
Yes.
Well, good. Well, listen, we're excited about what you're doing with us, and as you think about your IT priorities, you run networking.
Yes.
And a key part of networking has been your journey with that with NSX. And
Yes.
why is NSXT, for example, now very important to you?
Okay, one of the main challenges we have, is to motivate the business and our colleagues to upgrade systems, and we have a lot of obsolescence. So one use case with NSXT is to isolate the systems that we cannot upgrade or put at the right level, and we need to protect, or at least we need to isolate them, so if they are attacked, they won't propagate that. The other use case is more east-west firewalling, either at the site or in the data centers where we need to protect the critical flows. A good example is the digital manufacturing. They build great data lakes. You have very good data in that, so we need to protect those flows and make sure they go where they have to go untouched.
East-west traffic,
Yes.
microsegmentation. Okay, and then while you're doing this, you start looking at SD-WAN.
Yes.
And you were looking at VeloCloud before we acquired them.
Yes.
How did you hone in on your decision on VeloCloud, and why SD-WAN?
Okay, I will start with why SD-WAN, and it started before. We were back in 2017, and my network had not been transformed, so I was full MPLS, no hybridation, and we were deploying Microsoft Office 365, the collaboration tools, and I was just dying. Every 6 months I had to upgrade, had to change the priorities and the quality of service, and still the performance was not at the right level, and everybody was complaining that network was not working. So I said, okay, I need to find a solution that will help me to transform fast and to be able to apply business policies that will allow me to apply routing based on what is critical and what I want to do with those flows. And we were looking at the market, and I don't know if you remember, but 2017, the magic quadrant for SD-WAN didn't exist, and the market was very fragmented. Everybody was buying everybody, so it was very confusing. So I had made my short list of 4 products that seemed good enough. One of them was VeloCloud, and you bought that. So somehow it's an insurance for a company like us, because you will bring some solidity to that product. And we just found a carrier, telco, who is deploying it for us. But it's not a managed service. It's really our solution, and we manage the business policies ourselves.
And I think it's customers like you that have now allowed us to sort of convince Gartner we are now top right. So now it's a much easier choice. Now, what is the use case of SD-WAN? Because you've got manufacturing, you've got plants, you've got this edge type of use case.
Yes.
How are you deploying VeloCloud?
So I wish I could deploy it everywhere, but you still have countries where we cannot import the boxes. So we plan to deploy them everywhere, small commercial agencies, plants, headquarters, research centers. And the first use case is really to transform the network and to put the carriers, the telcos, in competition, because sometimes they're still very slow to provide the physical layer. So the first use case is agility for the business, diversity of the links, provide more resilience and more capacity, almost on demand if required. That's the first use case. And as we are deploying, we have deployed 60 sites as we speak, so it's a third. We are learning more and more how to manage the orchestrator. It brings more visibility. We have identified the patterns of the traffic, and we find issues, and we improve the parameters of the solution. So we are learning, and really the grail is to have true business policies.
And a site to you could be a manufacturing location,
yes.
It could be a plant, it could be headquarters, any
yes.
site.
Any site and any size.
Great. And now, as you think about the cloud, this is another advent. I'm sure you're excited about some of the things we're doing in multi-cloud. How do you think about the future in your cloud?
Okay, so right now we still have 3 data centers on-premise. We are using Azure, and we have moved 15% of the workload to Azure or Greenfield. And we are considering to use IBM Cloud as well, but we're still working on the opportunity and the business case for that one. Clearly, we'll have more and more clouds, because here we talk only about the clouds that we choose and we manage, but you have many SaaS, like Office 365. Yes. So we have more and more clouds, and SD-WAN is also helping us to see the patterns and the traffic, yes. and to improve the access to those clouds.
Well, hopefully you like the announcements we make today with Azure. So
yes.
you heard Michelin's looking at Azure and IBM Cloud, and we've announced some partnerships between VeloCloud and Azure and tighten that integration, so hopefully that helps customers like you. Pauline, thank you for being with us. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Pauline Flamand from Michelin. Thank you very much. You did great. Okay. How is everybody doing? Good. You guys have been such a great audience. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Over the course of the last hour, I thought I would spend the next 8 hours talking to you about security. Okay, yeah, Robin just fell off her chair in panic. I'll spend the next few minutes talking to you about security. I'm personally very excited about this. My first assignment at VMware was running end-user computing, and I started to really think about some of these aspects of management and security. And we've been, gradually at VMware, building a fairly large security portfolio and business. About half of our customers in NSX are using them for security use cases. About 30 to 40% of our EUC customers are using it for security. So we're kind of like that big unknown vendor of security, and we thought we should do more, because part of what's happening in the security industry is it's fundamentally broken. There's some analogies between security and healthcare. If you went to a doctor, my mom's a doctor, and you asked her, how do you stay healthy? And she says to you, you got to have 5,000 tablets. If you did the math and you took a tablet every 30 seconds, it would take you a week to consume 5,000 tablets. And unfortunately, this is kind of what the security industry is today. 5,000 vendors, all broken, different fragmented agents sitting on people's laptops. All of them have got their own consoles. There's a lot of labor to pull this all together, manual labor often, and quite frankly, it's broken. And when you think about healthcare, the reason you don't have to pop 5,000 tablets every week is because you stay on a good diet. You make your healthcare intrinsically what you do every day. You eat your vegetables, you eat your proteins, you brush your teeth, you drink your water, and you stay healthy. And that's what we saw it had to be done in this vision, which Pat laid out. And those locks on the side are intrinsic security built into every aspect of the layer of that cake. Into the infrastructure layer, the cloud infrastructure layer, into the application layer, and into the device layer. And that's what we've been focused on, because the paradigm had to be changed from traditional security that is bolted on, disparate, often not very intelligent, and often reactive, to something that was more intrinsically built in, where all of the security is built into the infrastructure, was intelligent, it was smart, it was driven by AI, and it was proactive rather than reactive. And that's what we've been focused on. And if you go back to that diagram, we said, listen, how can we fundamentally change security by taking that new landscape view of things? There are a couple of very key control points, and let me layer them for you one at a time, because when you look at the core of security, it's about securing apps and data. And these control points, there are many, many categories of security, but these 5 or 6 are the most important ones. It starts with the network, because the network security area is the biggest. And as you know, we now have 13,000 customers across NSX from the data center. We've now gone up to the firewall, and we're adding IDS and IPS capabilities there. Load balancing, you don't need a number of different networking tools. You can do a lot of that with us. Micro-segmentation, all of your internal firewalls can now be handled with VMware. Okay, endpoint was traditionally thought of as just the client side, but we now have an opportunity to do both the workload and the client side, traditionally endpoint, from a common platform, which I'll talk about in a second. This will allow you to protect these endpoints, whether it's a workload on the server or a client device, in a fundamentally new way. Now, just stopping right there, I'm not even going to get to the other control points. Just tying together networking security and endpoint security has never been done. Typically, the network security people don't get the endpoint security. The endpoint security people don't get the network security categories. If you were to do this like 15 years ago, it was like sort of like bringing together Cisco and Symantec. That never happened. Or if you guys don't care about Cisco and Symantec, it's like putting Messi and Ronaldo on one team, okay? For those of you Barca fans. So that's really what we've been trying to do, just in those 2 areas, but we're not done. There are other areas of security that are just important. Identity, super important to the end user. Cloud security, an growing area where everything from what you could do to ensure that there's no breaches and some of the configuration issues with cloud security, to gateways and so on. And finally, the thing that pulls it all together is analytics that collects the telemetry from all those other 5 control points and reasons over that data to help you make a better secure decision. These 6 control points we felt were the ones that we could bring together in an intrinsic security platform for the first time in the industry. Never been done before. And we have a very good starting point with all the investments we've been making already in NSX and Workspace ONE. So to add to that, we said, let's put more beef behind this story, more wood behind the arrow, and we decided to acquire Carbon Black. We announced the acquisition at VMworld US, and I'm happy to announce it's been closed a few weeks ago. They bring 6,000 customers, many of them are you, 500 plus partners, and are a leader in this category. And what we're doing with the Carbon Black Cloud is introducing something phenomenal in a number of different modules. There's like 7 different modules that they bring to us in every aspect of endpoint security, from endpoint detection to next-gen AV to device control to a variety of other key capabilities. And then we're going to take 2 modules from within VMware, App Defense and Vulnerability Management, and make that part of this 9-module suite. And this will be many, many more, but these are just the starting point of where endpoint security and workload security will begin. And as we do that, we think there's something fundamental that we can do to bring a unique integration into VMware products that's been never done. So this is a little bit of our sneak preview roadmap of what you will see VMware and Carbon Black and the ecosystem produce something that is much better together. Let's start one at a time. Number one, we can take Carbon Black and layer it into vSphere and make it agentless. That's been the dream, to make all of this stuff. Why do I need another agent when you've got VM tools and key capabilities that will allow us to put Carbon Black into vSphere? We began that process with App Defense, where we can take it even a step further with Carbon Black, and that will come soon to you. Never been done before by any antivirus vendor who's been doing signature-based AV. We'll make it agentless for the first time. Next, we have a great footprint on the client side with Workspace ONE. Tens of millions of clients now managed by that solution. We have the ability now to unify that on the client side, so you reduce the number of agents. You have all these different agents for signature-based AV and vulnerability management and patch management. All of that will be unified, and we'll engineer some incredible innovation between the Workspace ONE agent and Carbon Black to unify that, with Carbon Black potentially sitting on top of Workspace ONE like a payload, and then you just install it, and it's beautiful. That's, in essence, what we will do on the client side. And then when you get to the network side, why not take that same EDR detection response and layer it inside NSX? That will also start to show up, and we'll call that network threat analytics. And finally, Secure State, this wonderful product. If you've been watching some of the breaches that have happened recently with simple configuration issues that have happened in one of the public clouds, we can track that with a risk and compliance and configuration tracking solution called Secure State, and now we add Carbon Black to that too. And now we have a cloud security solution. So just these 4 areas has never been done by anybody in security. We will add that into the roadmap coming back from Carbon Black and completely differentiate any endpoint security tool from what we could do with Carbon Black. And it'll come soon, before you know it. But then we take it to the ecosystem, and they're all starting to embrace this one at a time, starting with Dell and SecureWorks. So you saw a press release that came out today that Dell is announcing for their client laptops that Carbon Black is their preferred endpoint security solution starting today, combined with Dell Trusted Devices and SecureWorks. And that's going to be game change all the tens of millions of commercial laptops that Dell sells and that Dell sellers sell. But we won't restrict it just to Dell. If there are any of you who are partners already of Carbon Black, we'd like for you to also make Carbon Black your preferred endpoint security solution. There's everything that we're doing with all of these ones that I've named here, could be just a few of them, could be applied to all the 6,000 partners. We want to become your preferred endpoint security solution. So that's how we're thinking about security, and just mapping out. I just had time between Pat and myself to cover network and endpoint and workload. We have a ton more innovation, and you're going to see us over the next several years march around this circle and innovate. 7 years ago, VMware was not even considered a networking vendor. Okay? Now I would argue one of 2 companies are doing some phenomenal things in networking. I believe the same thing's going to start happening in security. We're going to build on this, and you're going to see much, much more innovation from us. So I'm super excited about what you will see from us in security. Now, as I go to the next categories, we come to the conclusion of this keynote. We've been layering through these layers off the cake, as I like to call it, the VMware vision. We covered any cloud, any application. We covered the locks on the side, security. Let's come to the very top. And it's probably one of my favorite topics because it's, like I said, the assignment I first had at VMware in running end-user computing. And it's all about bringing this world of simplicity and security together in a digital workspace. And I think the notion of a digital workspace is an even better term than end-user computing, because end-user computing is sort of a technical term. But the digital workspace is a consumer, a true term that people can embrace, because that's what you live as employees. And what you want is the ability to have simplicity and security in one. Consumer simple and enterprise secure. It's what we've been saying for the last several years. And we're starting to make that vision more and more practical with every step that we've done. It all started first off with the management security part. And what happened is this device fundamentally changed everything, the phone. An Android or an iPhone changed everything, because all of a sudden you were coming to meetings with not just a laptop, but a laptop and a phone. Much of the world gets the internet today not on a laptop, but on a phone. And we've become today the only company that can manage an Apple device, a Google device, or a Microsoft device. And we've extended that to even ruggedized devices like IoT and rugged devices. So a phenomenal vision with Workspace ONE. And then what we did was we began to take certain ecosystem players and go deeper with them. One of them that you asked us to do more with was Microsoft. Why? Because you wanted us to integrate deeper with Office 365 for what's called conditional access. We solved that for you. Today we made an announcement with Microsoft that you'll see in the press release that we're going deep in Windows 10 and integrating to the new product, Microsoft Endpoint Manager, which is the coming together of SCCM and Intune. And we're building a great integration that will allow you to go deep in bringing Workspace ONE and Microsoft Endpoint Manager so you get the best of both worlds. And we'll pioneer this with many of our client technologies. Dell was one of the first to do this with the notion of their unified workspace. Some of that capability they're baking right into the hardware of Dell. Very excited about how client laptops are going to make this easy for customers. But it's not just about that management and security experience, it's also about the simplicity to employees. So why not make the employee experience easier? And we found that when companies kind of take that HR side of their company to heart, and they really work on employee experience, you're 23% more likely to be a leader, you're 60% more likely to grow, and 41% more likely to have positive NPS. This was a survey that we did of about 6,000 or 7,000 customers in IT and line of business, about half of whom were in Europe. And I thought maybe the best way to kind of show you our vision for this was to show you a quick demo of what we call the virtual assistant. Let's roll the video.
Meet Nadia. She has just received a job offer from your company. Nadia is prompted to download Workspace ONE Intelligent Hub and is welcomed by her virtual assistant, which is powered by AI. The assistant provides her offer letter and, once signed, helps Nadia to get everything she needs for her first day. The assistant displays her options so she can choose her ideal laptop and accessories, and even an ergonomic desk. She's all set for day one before ever coming to the office. On her first day, Nadia gets a notification from IT stating they're ready for her to activate her full digital workspace. She can simply press Activate to get going. She inputs her IT-assigned credentials, and then Workspace ONE comes to life. She's provided with secure access to the company's intranet site and all of the apps she'll need to do her job. Clicking on the People tab, Nadia can see her manager as well as the rest of the team. At any point in the day, Nadia can click on her virtual assistant and ask questions. It will intuitively connect her to the answers most likely to help. Workspace ONE is consumer simple and enterprise secure. With the new virtual assistant, help is always just a click away.
What'd you guys think? That is what we want to bring to you. I can't tell you the number of organizations who tell me when we have new employees start, it takes them days to get their laptop configured. At VMware, every employee joins within 15 minutes. They have a new laptop, they get their applications up, they bring their own device, applications on their phone or laptop. Our vision is every employee who works for a company in the world should be using Workspace ONE. Quick math, there's 7 billion people in the world, there's probably 1 billion people of those 7 billion working for some company or the other, small or big. Every one of those billion people should be using Workspace ONE. It makes employee experience extremely, and a good number of those billion people are here in Europe and in Africa. So we're super excited about what the promise of the digital workspace can bring to every one of you. Intrinsic security and the digital workspace, I think every one of you should look at those solutions and go to the showcase keynotes. Thank you very much, and back to you, Pat.
So we've taken a look across this picture, and we've seen how we brought all the pieces of any cloud, app, device, and intrinsic security together. And as we think about these powerful capabilities, I want to sort of go back to where we started and ask this question, is technology good or bad? And what we've seen is that technology fundamentally is amplifying human behavior in powerful ways. But we also believe that fundamentally technology is neither good or bad, it's largely neutral. And it's up to us to shape technology as a force for good. And as technologists, we can't afford to think of this as somebody else's problem. It becomes part of what we need to be doing and delivering. If we think about what we'll call the law of unintended consequences, how many of you use some form of free app? Any of you? Yeah, come on, yeah, everybody does, and so on. But how many of you decided when you did that you wanted to end your privacy? How many of you take advantage of online communities? Any of you? Yeah, you couldn't imagine not communicating with your kids and, in the social networks. But how many of you said, I wanted to participate in creating a platform for disinformation at scale? You wanted to do that as well? Or my favorite, we're going to use blockchain to promote transparency and inclusion, but is Bitcoin good or bad? What do you think, good or bad? I will assert bad, right? Because Bitcoin has enabled both crypto crime at scale, and it is badly engineered. And let me be clear, we are not at all opposed, and in fact we're investing heavily in making distributed ledger technology successful, but we believe it needs to be engineered for good and good engineering. And both of these need to come together because Bitcoin today, 95% of it is illicit uses, and a single transaction consumes enough energy to power your house for almost a day. It is neither engineered for good, nor is it good engineering. And we believe that we need to be as a force driving technology for good. We believe that we need to be eradicating diseases, lifting people out of extreme poverty, bringing education to every human on the earth. We need to participate. We need to be shaping technology as a force for good. And one final customer example is the Netherlands Cancer Institute, who's been working at the forefront for over 100 years of cancer research and treatment, using VMware platforms to work by day and to do research by night. Let's hear.
We are here in the bioimaging facility where we look at the smaller structures of cells. Here you see a piece of cancer tissue. So this is only a small part of the image. We have a huge data set. That's why we need more and more computing power.
We are combining a hospital for treating patients with cancer and a research institute called the Comprehensive Cancer Center. The IT department is crucial for facilitating the top research, because if there's no IT, there's no research.
Nowadays everything goes digital. I will acquire many images and then I will use computers to analyze.
During the day, the researchers will gather the data, and at night virtual machines spin up, do the processing, and in the morning you come back and the data is ready. This is the ideal situation.
You do all these steps in the lab and then it ends in this really nice image. And of course, if then it fulfills your hypothesis, it's even better.
We can have earlier diagnostics for patients. The new breakthroughs from research will bring them directly to the clinic. VMware provides the technology, but also the knowledge to create a state-of-the-art infrastructure and workplace for our healthcare professionals and researchers.
Curing cancer is a very long chain of small discoveries, and I get to be a link in the chain.
Every day I walk through the hallway and I see people, young and old, then I realize where I'm working and what I'm working for. I'm not on the front line, but I want to be indirectly solving that problem. I'm really gonna do it. Yeah.
Isn't that tremendous? Yeah, we're thrilled to be able to partner with the Netherlands Cancer Institute to help them solve their problems as they tackle some of the hardest problems on Earth. I would argue today that there's never been a more exciting time to be a technologist. But I think I could have said that 10 or 20 years ago. But I think uniquely today, there's never been a more important time to be a technologist. And we'd say, who is the one who's going to harness the incredible power that we've discussed to address the biggest technology challenges of our time? Who's going to operationalize these environments of AI, edge, and 5G to enable this world that we've been describing? Who's going to be able to run, manage, connect, and protect all of these capabilities? Fundamentally, we believe the answer is simple, and that is you. Right? It's you, our V-experts, our VCPs, our VCAs, our VCIXs, and maybe the PhDs, our VCDXs, those who are deepest in every aspect. Because we believe today that you're uniquely the infrastructure experts, and you're uniquely positioned to become the cloud experts, the AI, the edge, the intrinsic security experts. And of course, every aspect of that is why we come together to solve some of the world's hardest problems, to truly make technology as a force for good. And we're so thankful for you joining us here at VMworld 2019. Have a great conference, and thank you so very much.